Welcome to Building Blissfully, the podcast about building businesses, relationships, and lives with intention. We're your hosts, Adam and Amanda Craner.
On this podcast, we talk about building companies, navigating partnerships, raising families, and making decisions that compound personally, professionally, and financially.
Because real success isn't just about what you build, it is how you build it.
This episode is proudly sponsored by Carbless ready-to-drink cocktails. 0 sugar, 0 carbs, and full flavor. Go to drinkcarbless.com to find a retailer near you. Welcome back to Building Blissfully. Today we are so excited to have a local couple with us. They are well known in our community for their bakery, for their ice cream, and for their plastic company. And Adam has known Neal personally for much longer, so I was going to let him give a little intro of his own.
Awesome. Neal, maybe the secondary, primary Big Red.
Yeah. One of many nicknames.
Neal's quite tall. Obviously, as you can tell, red hair. But Neal was actually my boss for many years at the cheese factory. I don't know if we got into that in the first podcast. Neal left, which to my benefit, I ended up getting promoted a few times after that. But I think when you left, you went to a new queso factory. And that is kind of when my understanding your guys' journey began. So I think for starters, tell us about you two, how you met, and really like how did that evolve into having multiple businesses in our local Plymouth community?
My starting?
I think our story's similar to yours. I hired him.
Love it.
It's true. It's true.
So you also got the job twice.
Yes, I did. It's a double whammy.
Yeah, you can go. Sure. I hired him. I was part of the hiring committee as I was the HR business manager at Great Lakes Cheese, and we had a role for plant manager, and he was obviously a fit with all the experience and background and had a good personality that our team at Great Lakes Cheese was needing at that time.
Little did you know.
Yeah, little did I know I'd end up marrying him someday.
Some years after.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Adam's right. I was at Masters with him for a good chunk. I was there for 13 years. I don't know what your tenure was, but it was somewhere in that range probably overall.
Yeah. Started in 08, left in 19, had a 1-year gap so I could meet my love of my life.
Yeah. Again. Same deal. Promotions along the way. Adam and I probably have as similar a path as you could probably ever imagine.
Yeah.
Start here. Just keep on busting it and working your way up. You go from throwing cheese to directing the whole plant. How does that happen? I don't know how to explain it. Just bust your butt and learn along the way, and just like that, 10 years later, you're running the place.
Right.
So story of us beyond that is, gosh, it's been a whirlwind of 5-6 years recently.
Mhm.
So it was COVID.
Okay.
Both businesses, well, one's a startup, basically. The other one was a takeover. So after my 20 years of cheese experience, I was approached by the owner of Shell Plastics that said, I want to retire in 5 years, but I need somebody to come in here to take care of the hornet's nest that I have. I'm like, that's an interesting description. And why would I want to jump into that?
Was he not in sales?
No. No, it was a corner office person that didn't interact. And so I'm like, what do you think? She's like, YOLO, man. You're going to take your shot. Take a big swing, We had no idea. I mean, cheese for 20 years, and all of a sudden, what are you going to do? Donuts and plastic? What are you, crazy? I know zero. Suck at baking. Don't know a thing about plastic. But we're going to start 2 businesses in that.
Did you start them like, was it like you said, Shell was an acquisition per
It
se, right?
was.
And then the bakery was a startup. But which one was first, and how far apart did you start both of those?
Well, you were at Shell about 2 years when, the previous owner was like, "I'm ready to retire." And I was like, "Already? It's only been 2
Oh,
years."
the 5-year plan got
The 5-year
accelerated.
plan was
Yeah.
accelerated. Mhm.
Okay.
So we started negotiations in, like, July with the sale of that business, and in the meantime, my cousins who owned the bakery in Manitowoc, had opened up another location, and Neil's like, "What if we opened a bakery in Plymouth?" And I'm like, "What? A bakery? We don't know anything about a bakery. We do cheese."
What does Plymouth not have?
A bakery downtown besides, the chain,
There is a
grocery
ton of
stores.
cheese. Yeah.
There's a lot of cheese.
A lot of
We ain't
cheese.
doing cheese.
So we talked to, it was like in October of 2020, and we had the bakery open by January of 21. So within 3, 4
Oh,
months, we
heat of
had
COVID.
yep, we took
Right in the
over.
middle.
We decided we were gonna go with it. Did we know what we were doing? Not really. Did we really have a plan in place? A little bit of a plan
I had a sketch on a piece of paper.
that was required for the inspection.
Good enough to go.
So, I mean, I think the only plans we really had in place were for the bank. Obviously, we had to have a financing plan and stuff like that, but we had that open within 4 months, and this was why we were still in negotiations with Shell. We didn't really know what was gonna end up with Shell, if we were gonna end up purchasing it or not, so we were like, "Well, let's do this so we have something on our own," 'cause we knew we wanted to run our own businesses. With his background of operations, and I had HR customer service, and we've worked together, so we knew we could absolutely, be successful together.
We assume that, I guess. Some people don't know previously. So I'm a family business guy from when I was a kid. I grew up on a forklift. I was driving a semi at 16 years old. My family, ever since I was like 4 or 5 years old, had their own business. That's just what they did. I grew up only knowing entrepreneurship. That's all I ever understood. First time I ever wasn't was when things changed. Dad said, "I want to sell." I'm 20 nothing years old. I'm like,
What do I do?
oh man. So kids were little, so I'm like, what am I gonna do to take care of the family? So I did third shift at Sarah General for 3 years, actually, before I went to masters. But up till that point, I mean, I had zero knowledge of manufacturing of any kind at all. I drove a forklift and I rode around in a semi in Milwaukee all day. But what you learn in those situations is just invaluable for long term. I'll never forget those days. Just thinking about what in the hell am I doing? I have no idea. I'm just learning as I go, or just kind of winging it. When you're 18 years old, whatever it is, what am I going to do? Most people don't have that opportunity in a small business to really learn all that stuff. You're just graduating high school and worried about where you're going to college. I never worried about that. I was worried about how we're going to make money and how we're going to keep the business running successfully day to day.
You mentioned earlier our paths being similar, and a little bit about, like, not sure how we just worked our butt off. And I knew there was like some trucking entrepreneurship, but when you think about, I think about people in any business, every single person will always tell you, I treat the dollar as if it's my own. Transparently, 80% of that is absolute bullshit.
It's a little bullshit.
And it's not at fault of them. They don't understand the whole scope, right? But I think with that past experience, one thing that we were always very similar on was like operationally very tight with finances. Anything we're going to do is we're going to try to improve a project, maximize the ROI, put more money into the business for the sustainability of it. And I don't know like where that came from for me necessarily, but I know I'd be willing to bet Dad's business definitely helped you have that lens.
No doubt. I think that a lot as I went into the cheese plants, and it was kind of the same basic scenario in all three of them. But yeah, if you don't have that mindset, if you're going to treat every dollar for the person you're working for as your own, that you just don't. You're right. How many people have that skill? It's pretty unusual to see that. I knew you were going to be great because I watched what you prioritize. And there was always a method. Nothing was, I don't do things without thinking about it. Detrimental, but it wasn't my money. So I'm like, most people are like, whatever, I'm just going to buy this or do that. You weren't like that, and I wasn't like that. I think that carries over.
Yeah.
Kristen, how about you? What was your upbringing like? Was there any entrepreneurship or was it the opposite?
There was not. No. Nope. I worked my way up too. I actually started at Great Lakes Cheese as a temp. In 2009, I lost my position. I did recruiting for a temp service. So it was like, hey, here's an opportunity. And I knew Great Lakes Cheese was a good company. So I put my foot in the door. And from there, I just worked my way up. I hadn't finished college. So they put me through school, got 2 degrees to help. I really think, again, though, the hands-on experience is really what's invaluable. That's
So
what's helped me grow.
I believe I know a little bit about your guys' location. Were you always at the Plymouth plant? I know Great Lakes has quite a few facilities.
I was, yes. I
Okay.
did do training, so I did get to travel in the last couple of years of my role there. I did training of all the new HR staff. Mhm.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What did you start doing? Did you start slinging cheese too?
No. No, I actually was in the office. I was a office assistant. I got brought in right away as an
I never saw those temp jobs.
Once in a while, I'd have to drag her. I'm like, you got to go out on the floor and see what's going on. Don't be afraid to put some gloves on.
Okay, so plant manager, HR, customer service, starting the businesses. What were your roles and have they changed at all? And like, who's the boss? Is it the same at both? Like, tell us that dynamic.
Well, hold on.
She's always the boss. Okay, fine.
We know that.
Yeah.
That's marriage.
Someone holds the chair that makes the final decision at the end of the day.
Okay.
It happens.
I think in the beginning that was a little tough. I think I struggled with that because obviously at the plastics place,
Because he was the
everyone knew
boss.
Neal,
Yeah.
so he was the boss.
Hate it.
So they would go right to him, right? I think more at the bakery. I think I was always more of the boss because I was there more. Yeah, and I did more of the day to day.
He's your driver.
Right. Yes. But yeah,
4:30.
it was tough because just being in a small community, it would be like, oh, is the boss here? And I'm like, well, yeah, you're looking at her. So that took me a while to get over and be confident about being a female leader and just making sure people are aware that, hey, women can own companies as well.
100%.
Yeah, some of that dynamic was really hard for her to get. Like, some people, they don't mean anything by it, but some of the words they use are like, feels like a shot.
Right.
Mhm.
And I'd hear them too, but she's like, well, why don't you say something? I'm like, just let it go. It'll be fine.
So that would
Yeah.
happen at the bakery as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mainly at the bakery. I think because we're more in the public eye there.
Yes.
So people would just question that. And a lot of people know Neal because Neal was here in Plymouth for 20 some years.
Mhm.
So he'd be like, well, like I said, they'd be like, where's the boss man? And I was like, oh, well, he's running our other business right now. You're looking at the boss lady.
Yes.
So we don't hear that as much anymore. But
No, I mean, it took people a while to familiarize, but now I don't hear that at all anymore.
You do bring up a good point though, like visibility within the community. Like I know when we worked together, we'd played basketball. Well,
Mhm.
I ran up and down. You played basketball. But
Appreciate the effort.
Yeah, we'll call it effort.
But you played basketball?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was a stud point
Yeah,
guard
right.
back in the day.
This same wife of mine, when I asked to buy a gun, goes, "Do you even know how to shoot one?" Like,
Ooh.
no, I didn't spend a year in Iraq.
Were you?
So I didn't know him at the time, and so I don't always relate.
Yeah,
with
she
that,
doesn't
but-
correlate it.
No.
But what I was getting at is like from a community perspective, and this isn't necessarily the boss man, like you've been visible way before you owned a business. You're reffing, with your kids' games, you're reffing, you're always in the community. Now I think you were president of the local chamber, but it's always been like from a visibility, everybody knew Neal, and now everybody's learning Kristen.
That is true. But then she was also a board member for the DAM group. She's part of the professional business women group. So she took it upon herself, I think, to change that narrative, which I'm super proud of her for because she didn't just pout about it. She said, well, I'm gonna make a face for myself, and people are gonna know who
Exactly.
I am too,
Yeah, that's
which
awesome.
is
That's the way
pretty
to do
cool.
it.
Yeah, Shell, when we first started, it was more HR safety stuff, but we're very small. There's 15 of us.
Okay.
I had to change my thought processes because I was used to dealing and working with 600 plus employees, going down to 15. There's a lot of policies and procedures that I no longer had to do, which was great. And not be, as strict and follow someone else's rules. Now I'm doing more customer interactions
Okay.
at Shell. I'm at Shell more.
Sounds like yours has evolved a little bit from the policy procedure into understanding like how do I do the same, have the same effectiveness.
Mhm.
Now more customer facing.
Yep.
Has your role evolved at all at Hartman's, and how has your role evolved at all? So we'll start with
Still
you, Ed.
driving a donut van.
Evolved, I'm definitely not in the day-to-day as much. So more behind the scenes. Our daughter Gretchen is kind of running the show a little bit more as I start to give her the reins.
Awesome.
But still, guiding and helping lead and her through that process as she learns.
Well, so Shell's an interesting scenario. So it was always a woman-owned business previously. We didn't really think about that, and the owner said, nothing towards some of the customer requirements about that.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Failed to mention that.
That
I'm
happens. Yep.
like, isn't that interesting? Well, yeah, this huge customer that you have really requires that you be woman-owned. I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna make an adjustment because we didn't start that way. Let's pivot. So we did that, and it's not a huge process, but so she's actually 51% owner. Strategically brilliant. It had to be done that way.
Yep.
Nobody knew the difference. Oh, there's new owners. Cool. But it's still woman-owned business. And that certification is very important to us. And she took that by the reins. She said, if we're going to be woman-owned, I'm going to be an owner. So she spends so much more time there, and she does the safety stuff, the HR stuff. I mean, I do all the background stuff, and I basically kind of run production, but she does all the office stuff. It's a hands-on. She said there's 15 of us, so when duty calls,
We're wearing many
Everyone's
hats.
doing everything.
Yes.
still driving a forklift when needed, still doing all that stuff.
You want to see my shocked face that you're
Yeah,
saying all that stuff?
I'm super surprised.
He will never be
Yeah.
taken off of a
How does that
forklift.
go? You can take the man out of production. You can't take the production out of the man.
No way. I wouldn't give that up for anything. No. But she took it upon herself to make that role what it should be, to be legitimately a woman-owned operation. So she is my boss.
Love that.
Oh,
On
that's-
paper and everything.
On paper. That's right.
Boom, game,
I
set,
mean,
match.
we had to make that decision at one point as well. And so it was between veteran and women.
Mm-hmm.
And neither of us felt the 1% was worth it. We wanted to keep it 50-50. So those are just the facts. We're veteran and woman owned, but we're not certified either way. Solely so we could keep that percentage equal.
And I mean, similar where we were pushed to more on the woman owned, because it's considered a minority. And so like, certain buying groups have to, you should do this and you're going to get guaranteed Walmart placement. And some of our mindset, which is kind of stemmed into our business, it's like, I don't want them. I understand on keeping a business portfolio. For us, it was like, I don't want them to just bring me in because we're woman
Check a
owned.
box.
Because there's at this point in CPG, it's like, oh, I need to have this much shelf space for that. Well, I want it to be because you love the brand and you think it's fit and it's going to make your store more money. And so that's why we opted not to. But it is like, I liked hearing that lens though, because it is it's technically a box. But at this point, if it's a certain part of your revenue, like it's mandatory.
Yeah, and you're leaning into it, and that's important.
Yeah.
Okay, so you talked a little bit about how you kind of underestimated that perception from everyone else that Neal was the leader in all scenarios. Is there anything else you underestimated just about having these businesses as a couple and doing it with your spouse?
I have an answer for mine.
Go ahead and answer it first, honey.
It's time. We went in and I told her, I said, are you ready for 15 hours a day? Are you ready for half nights of sleep? Are you ready for constant pressure? Are you ready to stay awake thinking about crap all night that you have to fix or do? She said, what are you, you're underestimating me. I'm like, no, I'm warning you because it's coming.
He knows I need my sleep.
It's important.
It is.
I'm a little different. I'm a 5 or 6 hour max a night guy and I'm good to go. This one,
I need 8 hours of sleep.
yeah, which is fine. But in this world, especially starting, and good luck.
Yeah. I mean, when we started, well, you get up by 3:45 every day. Lately, I've been waking up and don't fall back asleep, but I was getting up at 5 to be to the bakery at 5:30, shutting it down at 5:36 at night, and we're 7 days a week. I mean, the bakery's open 5.5 days. No, 6.5 days. We're only down on Mondays.
Oh, wow.
And then on Monday, Shell's running. So we get a half day off every Sunday, and that's about it. Unless we take a real vacation, which when we do, we have to leave or we will be at the businesses. It's just how it is.
Oh, there were tears. There were, once you're in it, like, this wasn't really what I bargained for. I said,
Yeah, I think I said, what the hell did we get ourselves into? But it's better. I mean, it took for me to change my schedule, like my sleep schedule and what I do and how I operate from a mom to a business owner to, I have we have employees from the age of 15 to 67 that we're managing. That's always fun. It took me a good 1.5 years to get myself in what I felt like was a normal schedule or normal routine where I didn't feel like a walking zombie.
Would you say one thing that I've learned, so like in manufacturing, a bulk majority of the people is general labor. Now for us at Carbliss, we've got we're almost coming up on 100 people, and I'd say about 70% of the people are boots on the ground, sales members. But what I've started to find is like it's a different like base mindset. So I'm curious, like you talk about 15, that's obviously not in the manufacturing plant, I'm sure due to some laws. So that's at the bakery and the ice cream shop. But the gap isn't it's not I'm asking a question. Is it necessarily age-based, or is it more, I would say, the type of work? Meaning a manufacturing worker, they have a different mentality to work than somebody who might be in the service, handing out the donuts and ice cream.
Well, I mean, the 15-year-olds, this is their first job. So it's really hands-on, shadowing with them and teaching them everything. I mean, from washing dishes to what do you say when you answer the phone. So it's really more hands-on and being there and supporting and guidance. Whereas at Shell, they know their roles, they know what they're doing, but it's still you still have to check in and make sure that the quality of the work is being done. So I would say, to personally, Shell is the easier business to run versus the bakery.
I think in general, retail is underestimated.
It's tough.
Like those hours you mentioned. You can't really shut down. You have to be open
Right.
when the people are available,
Yes.
and that's not when they're working.
Exactly.
right. And you have to listen to everything they yell at you or tell you too.
And they do get upset when we do shut down to take a
Okay.
vacation. But we have to. I mean, our staff needs it. We need it. We shut down maybe twice a year, maybe.
Oh, at most. Usually it's once.
Yeah, once or twice. So yeah, it's deserved.
So you shut the whole business down?
We do. So that was an agreed upon thing. So generally, as the story goes, what happens the 1st of January to most people? What do?
Start working out.
You make resolutions, right? What's most people's resolution to start the year? I'm not going to eat sweets. I'm going to cut out sugar. I'm going to not eat crap. And what's 2 weeks after that? Now is a national give up day. So the first 2 weeks of January,
I've never heard of this.
No, me neither.
look it up.
I mean, I definitely like the gyms are full for the first week,
Yes.
and then it
No,
all
that I
dies
get.
off.
National
But
Give Up Day,
Give Up
though.
Day
Yes.
is new.
Yeah, that's the day when most people's resolutions
They give
are
up.
out the window. Done.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
So
that
for
makes
us,
sense.
beginning of January is the slowest part of the year. So we, instead of doing our normal thing, just pull a pin, go on vacation for a week.
Nice.
On
It
both
guarantees
the bakery and Shell?
no.
No,
No,
Shell's
just
still running.
bakery.
Yeah,
Okay.
bakery.
Yeah, it's a guaranteed time slot for us every year that we know we're going to shut it off and we're going to do something together.
I wonder if they plan that with this give up day, because then like a month later is Valentine's Day, and they're like,
Yes.
turn on the sweet
Yes.
spigot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and Fat Tuesday.
Exactly how
yeah.
it goes.
Mhm.
That
So
is exactly
January
how-
is typically our slowest month. So like
Plan it
after
out, yeah.
Christmas, and yeah, it works out. It works out well for everyone.
So, as we talk about building and some of the relationship challenges, can you tell us about a time when it made your relationship harder instead of stronger?
Neal's ready. He's always ready.
I'm giving her a little crack. If she's not going to jump in, then I'm going.
Just trying to think. We've had a lot of trials and tribulations through the last 5 years.
Yeah.
I feel we separate it pretty well.
Have you always, though?
Okay, so
He's got a
He's
time.
gonna spark your
He's-
memory.
yes,
He's gonna
okay.
spark your memory.
you're way better at the separating thing. So the hard part is I am workaholic as charged, would never deny that. I would work 15 hours a day.
You still do.
Still do. That's not what she wants from me, and that would be a grind point. And I'm thinking to myself, I need to do this for us to be successful. She's saying, no, you don't. I need you here with the family or whatever it is. And I'm like, so to me, I have priorities both ways. And how do you, she's way better at that. She's like, no, I'm just shutting it off and I'm going to do this for the rest of the day. If I do that, I'd be like, oh, no way.
How do you
I don't
lie?
function that way. So that created for a while. That was tough. And that's a relationship grinder because it's all about time spent and how you spend it. She's thinking I'm choosing work over her. That's not how it is, but it takes a long time to get past that hurdle.
Yeah, well, it's the same situation and just two different perceptions of why it's happening. So I'm curious, like, what obviously you recognize it. That's always step one.
Mhm.
But what did you do together to kind of help evolve that? Was it like give up on both sides? Kristen just got to deal with Neal working all the time. Sounds like you're still working 15 hours. So the other side of you working less hasn't happened. So like, tell us more about how is that like challenge really, how did you guys work through it? And
There'll be days where I'm like, okay, you're gonna be home at 5. I'm like, I expect you home at 5 tonight. So
Yeah, it's the answer is
That's
I'll
and if
push
it's
it as
not,
far as I
he
can.
gets a phone call.
Yeah.
so out
Where
of
are you?
curiosity, does that end up being about 5:45?
Yes.
So
You
if
know
I
me,
want
you
him
know
home
me.
earlier,
Cushion.
yes, I will be like, hey, we need to.
If it's 5, you better tell me a quarter after 4.
He's
to be
always an
home,
hour
'cause,
late. Yes.
Yeah, he knows exactly that's how I operate.
Yeah. Our schedule is not much different.
Yeah.
Ours fluxes quite a bit. Like right now we're in this season. I'm calling it a season.
Okay.
That I have to step back into the daily business a little bit more. And so I've been staying up till midnight working every night, and he's going to bed at 10 like usual. But that it like goes back and forth based on what the needs are and who has that skill set and who needs to be pulled in. And
Yeah.
so he'll travel a little bit more without me for a little while, and we're just gonna have to be really nimble.
Same. There's times when it's Looney Tunes for things at the bakery that they won't let me touch for good reason.
Cakes? You don't do cakes yet?
0. They won't even let me frost a donut.
No.
They're like, you don't do a good job. I'm okay with that. But there's times when that balance does change. Shell's 10 times the size, really, revenue-wise, is what the bakery is. So clearly there's more time and effort there. But it does pivot from time to time, depending on the Hallmark holiday, whatever season it is. I mean, the bakery lives on holidays, made
Made
up
up
ones or
holidays.
real, whatever. Most of them are made up ones, but that's when the bakery thrives.
So in those moments where you're pulled in to more of the heavy lift, has that given you a more of a perspective to be more lenient when Neil feels that he needs to put in the extra hours? Or do you feel like you're still really good at being where you need to be?
Lenient.
I'm not
Because
lenient.
if I'm working late, then he just stays there later.
Okay, got
I'm
it.
afraid to even answer that.
If he has a pass, he's taking it.
Yes, for sure. Absolutely.
She's been more accepting when I say, well, actually, I just need a little more time to do this. She's like, okay, well, then right after that, then come home. Cool. There's just, it's minimal, but those little things have really softened because we understand.
Well, I mean, the thing that I think and it sounds like you guys have been on the same journey. For us, it's just, like the cliche, you want to change the person, is like the cliche thing about relationships. It really never work, in my opinion. And it's like learning and understanding who that person is at their core. What are the things that you're not staying at the office to avoid being home, although that's the original optic, right? There's a significant drive, your prioritization of what you think is important. And it's not necessarily you saying, I expect you to be home at 5 every day. It's learning to understand, okay, this is what Neil values. And if I value time with him, the best way to maximize that is like kind of
Go back to work and sit next to him.
Yeah. That would work. Yeah.
Right. He's like,
Yeah.
well, if you want me to be home, can you come help me finish packing this or something like on a Sunday? Or he'll call me in, and I move a little faster than him. So I'm like, okay, let's go.
Do you guys feel like you're still aligned on the same vision though, in what you want at the end of the day, whether who's spending more time on it or why you're spending more time on it?
He's learned to see my side of it far more than what I've learned to see hers. I guess that's the best answer I can give. I'm always a forward thinker. I don't worry about today. I worry about next year. She's really good at staying immediately involved with what's going on day to day. I'll skip that and I'll miss stuff, and her detail is far better than mine. So that's why she does I mean, she's the only one that sees any social media stuff. She's the only one that takes orders. She's the only one that manages the website. I don't even have password to get into that stuff because I'd screw it up. It's not my thing. She knows that. Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing we've evolved into. You get to the point as a couple where like we'll finish each other's sentences, but more importantly, you already know what the person's thinking before their mouth opens. That's where we're at.
So relatable. We talked about that in the last episode.
Yeah. So thinking about the way your relationship and business has kind of evolved, can you tell us about a boundary that you waited too long to put in place?
Between us or with our employees?
Either.
I don't have any, so this one's on you. Mine are
He doesn't have any boundaries yet.
nope.
Oh man, that's a tough question.
There's another aspect to this that kind of adds on to the story. So I think Adam mentioned earlier that I am a WIA official as well. So I ref football, basketball, volleyball. So that's an evening activity. The boundary part's coming. So imagine the scenario. So I'm doing something with the businesses for, call it 12 hours a day. Rush home, or sometimes I have the stuff right with me and I'll bolt right from the shop to a gym. That was a free-for-all to start, I would say.
I mean, 4 or 5 nights a week on top of what we were already doing.
Right. So in addition to the 12+ hour workday, it's another 3-4 hours of doing something that I I call a hobby,
Mhm.
a paid hobby, a trained hobby, a certified hobby, but it's what I did to shut it off. Still do, but now instead of this, now we have days, we have boundaries of, okay, I'm going to still do it because I love it, but it's not going to be another full-time job.
So if it was 4 or 5 days a week before, what is it now?
2, sometimes 3, depending on the sport.
You had a few fours this year. The
She's
Monday,
not
Tuesday,
tracking.
Thursday,
She's not
Fridays, it
tracking.
gets a little rough.
That was to help pay for the vacation in January.
Yeah, right. And believe me, when that boundary gets crossed, I know exactly
You
what's
can feel it
Oh, yeah.
burning through your.
Yeah, I mean that's a great example though, because what I'm hearing is I've done this for the last 15, 20 years. And so it's just normal. Like that's Neal. And then when you step into the more hours and it's the P&L in our bank account, to you, this is just rinse and repeat.
Yep.
Then you're going, what the hell? Like, where's Kristen time?
No. Yeah, but I know it's something he loves. So I'm not going to say you can't do that anymore. That to me, that's selfish on my part. So I want him he's like, that's how I get exercise and I get paid to do it. And I was like, well, I need to find hobbies that I get paid for because I like to read and I like to exercise, but I don't get paid for it. So I'm like, just go do it.
No, that's
You know,
in my opinion, it seems like a great compromise of, yeah, he loves it. So don't ask him to stop, but can you just please not do 4 or 5 days a week? That's awesome.
Got to work the donuts off somehow. That's hard.
Okay, this one is if you're comfortable sharing. So during the past year, you had a health scare. Did that fear shift any of your priorities or conversations that you were possibly avoiding?
I mean, the cancer word, when that is thrown at you in sitting in a doctor's office, is pretty overwhelming. She took it way harder than I did because if you knew me at all, you'd be like, I'll kick that ass too. It's fine, no big deal. Well, once you start getting into it, you're like, whoa. She said right away, she said, this is bigger than what you think. And I'm like, no problem. She was right. But I probably shed more tears going up to it because of what I knew she was going through, because of the tears I saw her shed. And she was struggling. And I didn't know how to say, I'm going to be fine when I can't guarantee that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. You try to be strong about it, but man, so I have skin cancer stuff going on too, which is, so she's heard the word, but that's not, in the grand scheme of things, am I laying in a hospital bed? No, it's not that big a deal. Is it if you leave it and don't do anything about it? Big problem. You're going to take your prostate out? Because we knew my dad had it done years ago. So we had some insight, but that was 15 years ago. So much stuff has changed since then. So it's a vital part, if you don't know, to the male body. It's basically bladder control. It's a lot of other things. But I never knew what the possible repercussions could be because we decided right away we're going to get the best guy. We're going to go to the best hospital just to guarantee life continues as normal, which is exactly what we did. But it's just unknown. We're not used to things when things are out of your control.
Yeah.
That's where I struggle. But the unknown can be a little scary.
Well, so you've got the 2 businesses, and then now maybe you held off on reffing, maybe you didn't.
2 weeks.
Oh,
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Nice
but you
ope.
you
Oh.
can't
That's a good
you can't
solid
ref
ope.
for a while.
Right, but it's off season. So,
Oh, yes.
just so you know, the surgery was planned around the seasons.
No, the timing kind of worked out based on when you could do certain steps, but he was going to wait until the end of basketball. I said, no, you're not. You're going to get it done when they have availability. on a Monday, which
Yes.
works best for us.
There's one tidbit to that she does not know.
Oh boy.
They offered me an earlier surgery date, and I said no because I had to do certain games that week yet before I went in for surgery. And that's a true statement. But
Stubborn guy.
I did actually cut off 2 or 3 weeks of the season and shed all that stuff. And
Yeah, you're a forgiveness guy too, not the permission type. Yeah. Well, so
Just wait till we get home.
where I was leading to though is like, now you have this diagnosis. You talked about doctors, best doctors. Now, so on top of the 12 and the 3, how did you fit that in? What ended up, getting pulled back or less attention? Tell us more about that.
I mean, we're only 3 weeks post surgery.
right. I look
So,
great, don't I? Good
Yeah,
to go.
we're still in it.
So there's 2 story details to share. I'm a big transparency guy. Whatever it is, I share it. So all of our employees immediately knew. They knew the plan. They knew, hey, if I'm not here, if we're gone, this is probably why. We're at an appointment. We're at something. Everybody around me that was close, that needed to know, was fully aware. There were no surprises. There was no hiding from it. It's like, this is what's happening. This is we're gonna do about it, and it's gonna be fine. She didn't like some of that approach so much, but she's also the social media part of that. So she felt it was important to let people know transparently also.
Yeah.
Through that avenue.
Personal side, not on the business side.
Yeah.
Right. But still, it was important to you to let people know clearly what was happening.
Because we live in a small town, and I don't need people thinking you're on your deathbed or, worst case scenario.
In their own story.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They need to hear
they'll
it from
create their
us.
own narrative if they
Absolutely.
hear bits and pieces.
Yep.
100%.
Absolutely.
So then the other part of that is what you would already expect. So surgery was 2 weeks ago, Monday. Overnight in the hospital till Tuesday. We were out by 10 a.m. maybe Tuesday morning. And when were we back at the shop?
Well, I let you go in on Wednesday for 4 hours because there was stuff that came in that I had no idea how to respond to. I'm like, I don't know when that's shipping. I don't know how to quote that.
So I was back in the seat the
you could
next
sit
day.
in your chair, but you were not allowed to go in production for the whole week.
I mean, barring any of the details, this is catheter. This is obviously on meds, all kinds of painkiller stuff.
Is that when you're asking me to take that catheter out with my teeth?
Yes. That was right about that time frame. Yes.
That was only like day 2.
I already couldn't take it. Ugh, brutal. So anyway, that's the drive. She saw that. She's like, you're not going back for a week. I'm like, if I'm going to sit in this bed or lay in this bed or sit on this chair, whatever it is, for a week, you don't want to be around me. She's like, well, if I'm supervising you and you just stay in your chair, I'll take you back the next day. I'm
You
like,
guys have a dog? Didn't you just grab the collar and
Right.
you actually have 3. But and I appreciate this a lot because otherwise I'd have gone crazy. She let me go back to doing my thing the next day.
Under
Strict supervision.
yes.
I gave him hour restrictions.
Which, by the way, I also exceeded those.
Well, I wasn't ready to leave that day either. I was like, okay, you can keep working because I'm not ready yet either.
So probably 5 hours the day after we got home, we were back doing our thing again.
So it sounds like, with being transparent, it helped you just be able to kind of continue, I'd say, on the same pace. But it's, to your point, leaving in the middle of the day became very obviously acceptable because everybody knew what was happening. It's interesting you say that. I personally feel like I'm very transparent, and when things like that, like yourself, I think about what would I do in that situation, and I think in my head we've never talked about this, but I would go the opposite. Like at this point, I would go the opposite route where it's like I'm going to try to make sure nobody's deterred by what they're doing, and nobody's going to know. And I'm going to kick its ass, but nobody's going to know. But I think there's a ton of value in being transparent in that, the way you shared it, for sure.
Well, that you and I are similar that way, but you should speak to that because she actually convinced me more to not do that.
Well, it's not often that Neil's not at work all day. So when we were leaving for 4 or 5 hour appointments, not in the area,
That's a
we
whole day.
have they, where's Kristen and Neil? Why are they gone? Now what's going on? What are they doing? The questions will start. I mean, I think we knew for a while before we shared it. We kept it pretty close, and we must have did a good job because everyone was very surprised by the news. But yeah, I think it's just fair for them to know what we're doing and why we're not there like we should be.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't have a plan then. Until we had a plan, I didn't want to share.
But
Yeah.
Then I'm just saying words, and people are like, well, then they can
Everyone.
think whatever. When it's like, this is what happened, this is what we're doing, this is what's gonna, at the end of it, this is what it's gonna look like. Till I had that, I really wasn't a big fan of sharing it.
So now you've experienced that the business can't necessarily function without Neil for very long. Has that created any new conversations?
Oh, most definitely. I just said last week when he gets something in easy to quote, I would want to sit in and start learning. I mean, there's a lot to learn about plastic.
Who'd have thought?
Different
Kind of like
type
cheese. People are like, what do you got to know
material,
about cheese?
sizes.
Doesn't seem like that big a deal.
I mean, is that what was going through your head? Like from the moment you found out, like, okay, I'm gonna step in and I will fill the void in whatever he needs. Was that like your initial thoughts in your head, or what were you thinking?
Well, I knew if quotes came in, I wouldn't be able to do them. So I just said to him, like, hey, I'll, get the spreadsheets ready, bring it, on the laptop and we can do this together. But what we ended up getting in was bigger than that. So he had to come in. But yeah, I think I know it's a weakness in the business that he does, all of this and no one else really can do it.
Right.
Can we learn it? Absolutely. Has it pushed me to be like, okay, you need to start learning this now if something happens? Absolutely. I think it's just giving me that more motivation to learn more about what he does if there were something to happen. Absolutely.
I'm sure there's plenty of things if
Mhm.
it was the tides were turned that
Right.
he wouldn't know how to. He can't frost a donut, right?
Exactly. Plain donuts in the whole place after if she's out, no.
No, yeah, you wouldn't know insurance stuff or yeah.
Is there a point that you guys have discussed, ideally working yourselves out of some of that?
I'm just kidding.
Not yet. Maybe in 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's when Kristen will be out of the business.
Yeah.
When he retires, I retire.
Wait a minute.
Maybe I'll have to retire first and then make you retire.
That's what's probably going to happen. Well, that's my wife in a nutshell. She's like, well, we'll figure it out. She said, I'll transfer some stuff and then I'll bring it to you and you can look at it. And that's how her mind works. She's like, okay, well, there's a problem. Not really sure exactly what to do, but she works it through and just like, okay, this is what we're going to do. She's very quick at solution stuff.
Can I ask you a marital question on that? Because my wife's the same way. Does she ever problem solve when you're not looking for a problem to be solved?
Well, you can tell by her laugh that that's an obvious yes. So that's no doubt about it.
Neil's
What are we
kind of
even
like,
talking
it's not
about here?
broke, let's not fix it.
Exactly.
I'm like, no, it can be better.
One of my favorite phrases is "it's fine." I think that's a standard guy response, but we don't need to fix that. It's fine.
Yeah.
Nope, she's already got a plan to change it. And oh, okay.
Yeah, I might tell like a 1-minute story and she's like, well, what are you doing this? Or what are you doing this? And you could do this and you could, and I'm like, I'm not doing any of that. Like it's staying the way it is. It wasn't like I was just sharing, but yeah, 100% problem solving all the time.
All the time.
Just wake up like that.
Perfect.
It's hard work, isn't it?
That's why we need our sleep.
That's right.
All right. So part of the reason for this podcast and the inspiration is helping people understand that, building a business as a couple is definitely not easy because one, you've got the relationship, two, you've got the business, and then you smash the two together. Um, think about hopefully couples watching and maybe are in the middle of a business or they're looking to start a business. Um, if there's one thinking about building together, what advice would you give them?
I think it takes a special couple to do that. I really do. You got to be able to know that you can work together. And I think right away, and if they haven't, to set who's doing what and who's taking on what roles is going to be really important. I think that's something we didn't really think about was who is taking on what roles in the
Right.
businesses. And I mean, we figured it out, but it took time. But I think definitely as they're building it, like whose responsibility is going to be to do this and that, and just having that figured out right from the get go.
My answer is way more broad than that. Have a plan. I've seen multiple people dive in without any structure. You can't do that. And don't sweat the small stuff. If you're going to worry all night long about every little detail, you're going to drive yourself crazy and you will fail because there will be so much tension. We've gotten really good at brushing the small stuff. You don't need to worry about that. It's fine. Again, you'll hear me say that a lot. The little stuff is not worth your time. Concentrate on what we got to do moving forward, not them goofy little details that didn't matter.
Listening to what you said, Kristen, I just realized how much, having almost parallel stories in working together and you hiring, like that is a total leg up that we had. Because part of the skill set that you work together on is inherent, right? But like, I think about any one of our team members, and when they go home and explain what they do for a living, the significant other and vice versa, they generally don't really understand more than 2% of what that person's doing, right? So I know for us, it was Adam's going to do sales and operations. Amanda's going to be accounting. We both had like a little bit of the HR stuff, but she did more of it and marketing. And that was just because we worked together and we knew that. But yeah, I could imagine going into this like in two separate businesses. We decided to go all in. You really have no idea what you're getting into with that other person. And if you don't define it,
Right.
like that's got to get messy real quick.
I think the differences are key too. I mean, if we had the same skill sets, if we knew the same things, if we knew all the same people, and we had the same experiences, it would suck. Having that diversity and all them additional skills helping each other versus butting heads with the same skill set makes a big difference. I don't know 10% of what she knows about her expertise areas. I think she would say the same thing to me, but that is so valuable in being able to cover all bases, knowing that that other person is going to have your back and they're going to take over when it's outside of your circle.
Have you two, the way you describe that of, 10% of what she knows, and I'm sure she would say the same thing for you. I think similar for us. Curious from a relationship and business perspective, let's assume it's 90-10. Did you always trust her 90%? Did you always trust his 90% and just say like, that's his area of expertise, I'm staying away? Or did you question it a bunch at first and then learn to trust it?
I think I had some questions on certain aspects of our quoting, but after understanding and how he does it and, where we work with our margins, I've backed off. And again, I didn't really understand it, so I questioned it. But did I trust him? Absolutely. I mean, we're making money. I trusted him.
I think it's a good check and balance, and I don't see it as being wrong. So I think part of our responsibility to each other is to challenge decisions that we make just to make damn sure that we're doing the right thing. So absolutely, I will ask questions and challenge certain decisions that are outside of my scope generally, but that's only to make each other think additionally about what we're doing just to make damn sure that it's right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the different personalities lends to a different optic completely. Going back to the perception of why you're staying at work compared to her perception of it. It's really no different, and you look at the situation completely different, and you see way different things within the same.
Yep. Second set eyes.
Yeah.
It's never bad, as long as you're not disrespectful or, which advice, don't ever do that. But I mean, I think as far as a relationship wise, for us, that's number one. Respect what the other person is talking about. Listen to them. Really think about what they said before you jump to a conclusion. If you want to ask questions, cool. We're open to that. But
Did you always have that respect, or do you feel like it grew over time from beginning to where you are today?
I'm going to say it matured. To
That's
me,
a very nice way to put
yes.
it.
Was it where it was today? 5 years ago? No chance. No, we're still learning stuff. I mean, neither one of us knew what the hell we were doing in certain areas. These businesses are so far off of what we have ever done in the past.
And completely different of each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And when you talk about portfolios having a little variation to them, ours qualifies to totally different sides of the world.
Yeah.
Today, the level of respect and understanding is, I would tell you, is 100 times better than what it was when we started. But that's because we're comfortable now. Day-to-day stuff isn't a concern. Now we can work more on growth, and we still run 100 miles an hour. I don't know if that'll ever change, but we understand far more each other's roles and respect what each other's doing far more every day. And we don't question each other like we did originally.
What's your strategy to get out of the day-to-day at times and focus on the big picture? A lot of what we talked about today has been tactical, so I just want to dig in a little bit more on where you guys want to go in the future.
Well, strategy is just, obviously trusting our employees and giving them the responsibility and letting them go with, like on the bakery side, just not being there all the time. Is just, they understand that I trust them to do what they're supposed to be doing and taking care of the customers, and they know their roles. Also with our daughter Gretchen, just, giving her more of the day-to-day stuff has allowed for me to, again, really pull back from there unless I really need to come in. I'm there every day. I stop in the morning. I stop midday. Usually at the end of the day, I stop and just check to make sure things are in line and balance. But that's better than being there for 4 to 5 hours a day, having to jump in. I only jump in now when we get really large orders because we're still a small team over there as well.
The trust is absolutely paramount with our folks, but the difference is it depends on the people you have. So we basically inherited 80% of what we have at Shell. These are long termers. The difference is, you guys would know this in a heartbeat. There's doers that just want to keep doing. They don't want to elevate. They don't want more. They aren't interested in leading people. They aren't interested in supervision. They don't want to do any of that. They want to punch in. They're good at their job. That's all they want to do. And they want to punch out and go home. We have a lot of doers. They aren't interested in learning more. They aren't interested in advancing a career. That's not what they want to do. They want to keep their daily routine simple, retire at a certain point, and go off into the sunset. We have a lot of those people. We have hired, total 2, 3 over 5 years.
Oh, wow.
We've lost 1 and 2 retirements. So our turnover is almost 0. On the bakery would be the same, but it's high school kids, so they go to college, they do whatever. The beauty is these folks come back. So one of my favorite stories is we had a retiree. When did he actually semi-retire? He retired last year at some point. and he came back.
He's on
Neal
the
2.0.
He's on. I was
Yes.
gonna say he's on the Meegenburg plan.
Yeah.
He came back part-time.
He's like, I really just like coming here and being part of the group. And so he still works 3 days a week, sometimes 4, but he sets his own schedule. He knows what it's one of those guys. He just knows what he's doing. They're mostly self-directed. What I'm doing is giving them information day to day. I'm not directing them.
Right.
Here's what's got to be done. And they pretty much supervise themselves. Nobody wants to be a supervisor, but they know exactly what they need to do.
Let's go back to you're talking about the doer, right? Somebody who's comfortable doing the same thing day in, day out. To your point, until the day I retire at 60, 65, whatever the number is. 6 years ago, you were both W-2, right? And assuming, at my 401k kicks in and 60, 65, I'm going to retire. How has owning a business, bringing Gretchen into the business, how has that shifted the personal side of how you look at life after?
Like after the businesses,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we'll ever truly be able to be out.
Okay.
I think about that sometimes. If Gretchen does truly buy and take over the bakery, I know I'll be back there helping. She'll be like, Mom, can you come clerk or could you come do this? I think we'll always have our hands in it somehow. I mean, we talk about what we're going to do with Shell at some point. Will we sell or will we still own? So, I mean, those conversations have been had. They're not definite, but I think we'll have to do. While I don't work 15 hours a day, I'm a doer. I can't sit either. So we're gonna have to do some sort of business venture, whether it's Airbnbs or we've talked about that too. So there'll be something.
Well, there's also some life goal stuff that we have already achieved along the way. And so we built the brand new house. Now it's been, what, a year and a half-ish? So you want to throw that in the mix of business operation. You understand all these decisions that have to be made outside of the day-to-day. Building a brand new house is a
project and a half.
It's a challenge. So we accomplished that. Still married. We made her through. And actually, it wasn't really that bad. But the guys out there say whatever they want to pick out for decor and whatever. Just say yes. It's fine. Move on. That's basically what I did. Well, she does a great job of all the detailed stuff.
You made it really easy though. I was like, "What do you think about this?" He's like, "Looks good to me." I mean, he made it easy.
But throwing that in there, she said, I think what her quote exactly was after we moved in. She's like, "Well, check that box. We pulled it off. We did it. Build a brand new house in the middle of all of our other duties, and it's awesome." I would tell you every day that I pull up to that place, I'm like, damn, we did a hell of a job.
That's awesome.
I don't know how we got there, but the pride in her and just in what we've accomplished was, whenever I pull up the street, I'm like, pretty proud of that.
No, that's very cool. The design thing also does not fall too much different than our household. What do you think? Which one do you want to do? This one. Okay, sounds good.
Sounds good.
Yeah, you're not fussy, so it makes it easy.
But we do talk retirement. Full disclosure, actually, for Shell reasons. Again, back to the COVID thing. If people understand how economically things were then, we took advantage of SBA loans and some of those advantages during the COVID period to do what we did. I mean, if you're going to borrow millions of dollars, there's got to be a pretty decent plan in place to do that stuff.
Right.
And you better have best layout. And there were a lot of advantages to doing it then. If you decided to take the plunge, that's what we did. That's a 10-year commitment, basically.
Gotcha.
And it has to be that. That's the limit to SBA, 10-year max. And we're in year 6 of that currently. 5.5.
I wish it was 6.
we're over the halfway hump. That's for sure. So that commitment is a big deal. So once we get to the end of that term, our flexibility is pretty much endless. We'll be able to do whatever we want to. So when she says, will we sell the business? Will we keep it? Will we run it from a distance? Will we still be involved? Those decisions aren't made yet because we just don't know exactly. I mean, there's health things, there's family, who knows?
Yep.
Yes.
Things change all the time. Can I say, oh yeah, we're going to do this in 5 years? I could say that, but it's like a budget. Are you going to stick to it? Depends what else happens.
I think the best part about having a well-run business, though, is you have all those choices.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't,
Your time.
and knowing that everything that you're talking about is on the table because it's a well-oiled machine and you have the options is a great place to be.
Right. That was the plan going in. We're going to bust our tail here, get through that 10-year structure. And we know at the end of that road, we're going to have a lot of options. She's younger than me by a year or two. She has goals personally to retire early, and I want to support that. But again,
Can you define support?
you stay home while I go to work. I mean,
That's what I figured.
I think she's fine with that, really. By that time, she's like,
She's
get
ready
out
to
of the
start
house.
that tomorrow.
Yes, you read that just like a book. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, I'm going to move to the closing question unless you have anything else.
No, go ahead.
Okay, this one is for both of you. So as we wrap up, for each of you to answer separately, what are you intentionally protecting in the season of building, and what are you intentionally pursuing?
We talked about being heavily community involved. We feel like we're protecting the vibrancy and the thriving downtown in our own community. We're protecting and fighting to make sure that continues long term. There's reasons why we serve on these boards. There's reasons why we run the business the way we do. There's reasons why we donate to certain things and we spend our time helping with things. Our intent is to leave the city that we live in a better place than what it was when we started. That's a big deal. I also want to protect the future. Gretchen's a huge deal. We're protecting her future. We're building so that our family years down the road has less to worry about. They have less on their plate. We're protecting their livelihood long term. That is my answer. Whatever happens to me, I've had a friend of mine said, if you were a horse, I'd already made glue out of you. You're falling apart, man. I'm like, thanks. Have a nice day.
That's a good friend. They're honest. So you talked about what you're protecting. What are you pursuing?
It's retirement, for sure. We're not ready for that yet. And this is just speaking for me because of my mindset, different from hers. I'm pursuing mentally understanding what it takes to turn it off and slow it down. Super hard for me. I'm not programmed that way, so it's a learning process for me. It really is.
I hear that.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. I still haven't figured that part out, but I'm pursuing my mental state, preparing for putting it in cruise control versus
Do you do it when you're on vacation?
no.
That's your dip. I learned this, but that's your dip your toe in the water.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've officially gotten up to like a few days at some point of like I might look, but I don't reply. Which has been an evolution. But it's the vacation times. You might have something to come back to, but you'll find out where the gaps are.
Yeah.
We also had to learn we needed to take longer trips because it took 3 or 4 days to turn it off.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're already preparing that we're leaving in 2 days, then you're already starting to turn it back on. So we've started to take longer time off, and that really gives you a true week if you have that
If you do
buffer
2
on the front
weeks,
and the
yeah.
back.
Yeah.
You'd kill me if we stayed away for 2 days for that. I would drive you nuts. Yeah, I mean,
That's our version. It doesn't have to be your
right?
version.
Oh, it's true. So the cell phone, which I argue has been to the detriment of civilization in general, but when you have that tool, it's so easy to say, I'll just do this little bit. I got a little time. Makes it nearly impossible to totally shut it off. But it's the same thing. She's like, just lay off for half a day.
Yeah, but I'll say I'm turning it off, but then I'm like, did you see this email from?
Right.
He's like, no, I'm not looking at my phone. So yeah, it goes both ways.
For sure. Social media has a grip on you that, I mean, you don't have a choice. Because if you let that fall and fail, your business is really hurt by it. And people expect it's part of this deal. Well, I sent Kristen a message 10 minutes ago. How come she didn't respond? She's on vacation. She has that right. They don't understand. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, I want my stuff tomorrow. Sorry. This time you're going to have to wait. She's teaching me that slowly, very slowly, but surely. But
tomorrow's a new day.
Yeah.
And not all business is good business.
Right.
that's true.
Yeah, that's one thing. I'm also more like need to respond to everything. But it's also like if you take the person who, if they decide to, I'll say, talk crap about Hartman's because Kristen didn't reply in 10 minutes on her personal page for a business request, like,
They're a pick and save customer.
yeah, do we really want them long term? Nah, like, yeah, Pick and Save's got donuts. Go ahead.
Yeah, right.
They also have carbless, by the way.
Hit the quick trick.
What about you, Kristen? What are you protecting or pursuing? It can be personal, professional, whatever that it is.
Protecting, I think Neal kind of hit that on the head with protecting the business that we've created downtown. The downtown has grown a lot, and we just want to continue to make sure it grows and that people are supporting our small businesses. I know there's a lot of struggles right now, so it's important, especially for Gretchen. While I'm protecting it, I'm still pursuing growth there. I think we have a lot of room where we can expand yet, and setting her up for success in the future is for sure my focus on the bakery side.
Awesome.
It's okay to say what you're actually pursuing. What's your, so she's got goals.
I saw an
She's got
eyebrow shift.
goals.
The
Which
eyebrow
ones,
shift.
though? I have like lists
Don't
of
talk
goals,
about
and he
that.
makes fun of me for them. Well, not really. He's like, I have them all written down. I've got like 25 personal goals.
She's a list maker, and I'm not. And one of those lists every year is a list of goals, whether it's everything from weight loss to whatever, financial, time, how many books she's gonna read. She does have goals. I don't do that. So sometimes I sneak a peek at her list. I'm like, I wonder if any of them I can try to
What
steal
should I
off of
put
her.
on my list?
I don't think you're listed this year on any of my goals of fixings.
That's because I keep looking at the list.
Get Neal to
Right, yeah.
Do you share those amongst each other? Like, we've really learned if we are trying to, whether it's drop a few pounds
Mhm.
or typically if we're not doing it together, it's never going to be achieved. So just like running this business together, like hitting our own goals, we really can't do with the other person's support. Do you guys typically share?
I think the most common one for me to be successful is when he's eating healthier with me. Or we're eating at home, making meals instead of going out. and
He's
just
home by
making
5 and eating.
better decisions. Yeah. Yeah, I think when
you don't have to
we've-
know what
Yeah.
he eats if you let him
Right.
eat till 8. If you let him work till 8.
Push that back just a little bit.
I mean, there's things he doesn't like to do. I'll read. He doesn't really ask me what I'm reading or what it's about. I might share because he might be like, "What are you laughing at?" or "What is that face for?" So I'll share. But there's things I like to do that he doesn't like to do, and vice versa.
Right. What's the topic of the books you generally read, though?
They're like romance novels and
Which is
like
why I don't
thrillers.
ask. But we've started watching some
we
TV
do
shows
some
together,
Netflix shows together.
which we never did that before. We sit down and there's a certain, we'll call it our show at the
Yep.
time. So she'll say, I mean, our work time is not quality time. We spend how many hours together every day? I don't know, 10, 12 hours together every day. We talk to couples all the time that say, there's no way I could possibly work with my spouse. And I kind of smirk. Like, why do you think that is? It's not easy, but those are the best, to me, those relationships like you guys have, those are the best ones I've ever seen.
I actually brought this up on our intro one, our intro podcast, and I forgot to Google it. I thought she told me this stat, and she either didn't forgot
No,
or I
didn't.
made it up.
He made it up.
But okay, well, it's a cool stat because 80% of statistics are made up anyway. So I'm
Perfect.
gonna lump this one in. But it's something along the lines of like, if you've built a marriage and you've built a business, if you've built both those together, the likelihood of any divorce or detriment to the relationship is next to null, because they're both tremendously hard. And then when you do the both together, it's basically like a glue made in your situation partially from Neal. But it's a glue that can't be broken.
I'm sure it also solidifies if you've selected the right partner.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Well, because you learn a whole different side of them.
But the foundation is still there. Like if you can do one, you should be able to do the other. Should.
Well, if you don't grow together through that process, the business is everything will fall apart. Your business will fail. Everything that you work towards really falls on its face.
I think that is one of the biggest, in Amanda talking about working on things together, like in relationships in general, friendships, it doesn't matter. When you and I met, I mean, way back in 2008, I think you were my boss's boss at the time, but like when we started getting to know each other, it was probably more 11 or 12. But
Mhm.
like who I am is an individual, who you are. At our core, there's some very similar things, but our goals, desires, they've changed, right?
Mhm.
And like friendships that stay together are the ones that the end goal is kind of aligned. Same thing with relationships, but the business almost forces you to have that conversation, is where I think without the business, a lot of couples maybe don't have that conversation. Neal's going to, I'm going to, let's say we don't own the business, I'm going to work until I'm 85. And Kristen's like, I'm going to retire when I'm 50. Never gets talked about. And then boom, at some point later in life, it becomes a huge argument. And yeah, the business forces you to have a lot of those conversations at like more of a rapid pace.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for coming. I know you're
Yes,
still
thanks for having
limping
us.
after your weight loss adventure. But again, can't thank you guys enough, and really enjoyed hearing more about your story, because even though we're friends and we chat, I learned a lot of new stuff. Very much appreciate you guys showing up.
Yeah, I think another thing we wanted to say while we had the chance is I feel a ton of pride for seeing what you guys accomplish. I mean, the involvement, the building that we would have a unique perspective on what you guys are doing is fantastic. Couldn't be prouder of you guys. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank
Very
you.
much appreciate that.
you.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Building Blissfully. The bliss is earned in the grit, even when you're knee-deep in the shit. If this hits home for you, please like and subscribe to follow more building on Building Blissfully.